Okay, so you can see this, right? Everyone can see this?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not going to go over the whole thing in depth. It's all sent out through emails if anyone wants to go over more in detail, but just to provide some basic information. So this is going to be a month-long, basically kind of crash course to teach all you guys how you can actually build a website and how you can apply these skills of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript to building any kind of website you want, building your own projects, and just developing your knowledge of programming as well. Um, this is going to be a week by week thing, and we're going to go both days of the weekend, so Sunday, Saturdays, and Sundays. But if you can't miss, if you miss one meeting, that's okay. You can always, because we will be recording these meetings, and you can always catch up on the content we post in the Google Classroom, or you can just watch a video on your own time too. That works as well. So starting on these weeks, so our course structure is basically going to be, sorry, 5 weeks. So 5 weeks and 2 classes per week is going to be 10 classes total. So first we're going to start off with some basics, introducing basically HTML, CSS, JavaScript with the purposes, which is what we'll be doing today. We'll be setting up our accounts on CodePen so we can code more easily, and you can show us your projects and you can work on your projects. And then the second week, we'll be going over CSS. So like CSS basically is just the language that adds style to your websites. You know, rather than just building these little blocks in your website, you can actually add style to them. And then week 3, we're introducing JavaScript. Week 4, we'll be bringing all that content layers together. And then week 5, we will be applying all that knowledge to building a passion project. So we're going to register for this website called CodePen, which is going to make all our coding really easy. So first, just go to CodePen. First, you want to go to CodePen. You can just Google it too. You don't have to actually have the URL. CodePen.io. And then from there, you want to click on the sign up button right here, unless you already have an account somehow that you can log in. But when everyone's done that, and after you click sign up, sorry, you can choose any of the options listed there to sign up. Maybe sign up with Google or just sign up with your email. Either works, but we say using Google to sign up would be way easier, assuming you guys already have your Google accounts as you're doing right now. But okay, so if you want to log into the home screen, to check the dashboard, you can see on the left side of the menu, there's going to be an option for pen, project, collection. We just want to go ahead and click on pen right now. And so if I did that on my screen, it would look something like an empty new pen with 3 sections and untitled on the top, like that.
We mentioned a little about HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, but let's set the foundation before we continue. So basically, the CSS is like the design of your house. Like think about it like the furniture in your house, the paint, basically what you add to your house to make it look better. Meanwhile, HTML is like the frame of the house, like the walls, you need frames, you need door frames. And it just allows your website to be structurally sound. And JavaScript can be looked at upon as the wiring of the house. Like think about your garage door. It just adds functionality to the website, like dishwashers, fridges, lights. So each thing has its own like unique purpose, and to create a good website, you need to utilize all three of them. So how it breaks down into websites is just CSS is used for um, CSS is used for making the website look good. HTML is used for adding structure to our website, and JavaScript is used to make our website compatible and interactable with users. Cool. So we're gonna start off with HTML since without learning HTML, we can't really do anything with CSS or JavaScript. So let's start off with displaying simple text on our screen. So we want to display the word hello, right? With HTML. There's something called HTML tags. So the basic structure of HTML is that there's an opening tag and a closing tag. And whether it's opening or closing is you can identify that by looking at these brackets. Notice how the opening brackets have these greater than or equal to symbols, and the closing one has a slash next to the less than symbol. And basically, in between these tags is where we can add our text or other elements. And every HTML tag must be closed. Your website won't throw an error if they aren't closed, but the website will start looking a little janky. So, okay, so as you can see here, there's H1. These are all different names of tags, multiple variations like paragraphs, headers, but whatever goes inside of these brackets basically tells your computer what kind of tag it is. Like headers, H1 is header 1, H2 is header 2, and they basically go down in terms of size. So every HTML tag basically has its own unique purpose, and it's our job to use them all together to create an effective website. So over here, P in this case stands for paragraphs. So over here we have an opening tag for paragraph and we have our text inside of it. And then we have a closing tag for the end of our paragraph. And basically whatever content we put inside this, it will add the properties of those tags. So notice even though this H1 is technically inside of this paragraph over here, let's actually use the pen. Even though the H1 is inside of the paragraph, the styling of H1 is added to the even. So it's like you can nest them inside of each other. And hitting enter in the editor won't actually create a new line over here. As you can see, there's no actual line break over here. So that's why you can use the BR, which just stands for break. And you can use that to go to the next line.
Yeah,
We'll
notice
start to
how
make
BR there, you can actually use it without having a closing tag. Closing tags are more for like these more structural blocks, but you can use break and things like that in between texts without having to close it, because obviously break, you wouldn't need to break a whole section of
yeah,
text.
there are various different types of tags. Like over here, this is paragraph. This is gonna stand for bold. It's gonna stand for paragraph. Paragraph. This is italics, and just there's a huge list. This stands for unordered list, list item. So you don't actually have to memorize all of these. If you just go up to Google and search up HTML tag names, you can get a huge list of them. So just remember that Google is always your friend. You don't necessarily have to remember this. We don't expect you to remember a lot of these, though some basic tags like P, paragraph, some of the later ones we introduced, we might have you remember those. But overall, just remember that you don't need to memorize all of these. I don't remember all of them. I use Google a lot. And we can actually include other things like buttons and images. Um, like this is basically what the user would see if we included. So if we included this code in our website, you can type this out on CodePen, but you don't have to. This is what the user would see. And notice how, although there's a button, even though if I were to click on it, it would do nothing. So if I went on here, went button and did hello or something like that, even though I'm clicking it, nothing's been done. So that's when JavaScript will later become handy, but we'll go into that later. On many websites, we want to display images for the user to see. And in HTML, you can use the img tag. Again, notice how, because we don't want to nest things inside of the image, we can we immediately close the image tag by using a slash. So you don't actually want to do img, and you don't want to do this slash img. We immediately just close that off after opening it. And inside of these, we have things called attributes. So this attribute tells us the source of the image. And notice how we have an attribute, an equals to sign, and quotation marks to describe the value. So in this case, SRC stands for the source. So source of the image is going to equal to, and inside of these quotation marks, there's a URL. We'll get into how to get those later. But same way we can use width to describe the width of the image and height to describe the height of the image. Is there anything you'd like to add on, Berkan, or any questions in the? chat?
Yeah, I was gonna add. So notice how sometimes you do have to surround these values with like quotation marks, and sometimes it's numbers. That really just depends on what kind of attribute it is. Like if it's something like a source, it'd need to be like text, so you'd actually put it in a quotation mark. But if you're just describing a width or a height or something else numeric that could come up later, then you just use numbers. So that really just
Exactly.
depends.
Exactly. Yeah, and these are the values that we're assigning to each attribute.
What we're going to do right now is make a really basic website of some information about Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. So we're going to start off, we're going to list his name, we're going to have an introduction, we're going to make some text italicized, we're going to have a picture of Willy Wonka, and then we're going to add some headers and bold effects. So first off, I can actually put the name, a little introduction of Willy Wonka. So if I use the paragraph tag here, that means that whatever text I put in here is just going to be outputted like regular text. We do like that. We have a basic introduction right there. Then if I wanted to give a description about him, I could add another thing, say, I am a master. Okay, this is, but that looks kind of boring on its own. So if we add some style to it, like I could use B to emphasize some boldness. And I could use the I tag to emphasize some italicization.
Yeah, and I also wanted to emphasize that you can actually nest both the bold and the italics tag together to both bold and italicize at the same time. Like that. It's possible. So just keeping in mind that you can nest HTML elements, since that's the most important thing to know about HTML, is that you can nest them, and some properties are transferred over, some properties aren't. We'll get to that later. Okay. Cool. So remember how we mentioned that over here images can take SRCs, or called source. We want to get the link for the image. So every image has a link where it's stored at for everybody to access. So for example, if I wanted to search up an image of Willy Wonka, I can search up Willy Wonka, and we can pick any image here, but you want to go to images, and let's pick that that one. We can right click on this image and you get a huge list of options, but what we want to do is select copy image link. Okay, so once we copy image link, we can hold the control key down and press V, like in our URL tag, and you can see that it's taken us to the image directly. So similarly, when we have our image code over here, the SRC is going to equal to whatever we had copied. If you do have an image tag, if you do have an image tag, a source on it, make sure to paste that image link inside of the SRC. So it's going to look like a link like this, and it'll show up on the website.
Okay, so let's say now we have an image, now we have a basic description, but we might want to add some bulleted facts now. And let me just get some space on my end. So let's say I wanted to add some fun facts. Maybe I'd want to title it something first, like fun facts, because obviously it's easier to see. So I make my header right here. And then under fun facts, I'd want to make a bulleted list. So here, it's just going to be a bunch of bulleted points. Now, when it's a bunch of bulleted points and there's no numbers, you use what's called an unordered list. And an easy way to remember the tag name, UL, is just that it stands for unordered list. Now, if I wanted to add a list item, it would just be similarly an acronym like LI, list item. So I could say something like, fun facts, chocolate was once money, literally grew on trees. Yeah, so if we just do that and we nest our list items, like Adi said, inside of our unordered list, which is the only way we can get list items to work, it's gonna show up perfectly on our website like that. And notice how when we're typing these tags up, it's the website is like showing them in order of exactly how we typed it. So the image is on top of all the text that we have below it, and then the headers and descriptions we have above the image are appearing right above the image. So it just makes it really easy to make your website as you just keep typing. And Adi, you could introduce the numbered list this time if you want.
Right. So similarly, how we have unordered lists, we have something. I don't have the code pulled up, by the way, so you're gonna have to type it in. But similarly to how we have unordered lists, we also have something called ordered lists, which is OL. And we can do a similar thing where we use li list items to basically insert item lists. So a good thing to think about is basically if you have a rank ordering, say you have like your top 5 favorite candies or whatever, you can use a list item to basically create an ordered list starting from 1 to how many ever things you have. So if you said,
Yeah.
my bad.
As you can see, the more I add list items, it's just like how like if you ever used Word before, or if you ever use any kind of text editor, it's like instead of the bullet points like before, instead it's numbered now, and the more I add, the more the number is. Yeah, and I could keep adding lists, anything to this list, and that the number would just increase and the list would just get larger. But that's essentially it.